Okay, everyone, welcome to this Paying for College Success session. Um, we have a guest here that I'll introduce in just a moment, but I just have a few updates and reminders that I wanted to let everybody know about before we get started. So we are in week 14 of a 16-week semester. I don't think either finals don't count towards the 16 or the Thanksgiving doesn't count. I'm not sure which one, but week 14, and we have just a couple weeks until finals. Final exam week is December 9th through 13th. Next week is Thanksgiving, where the college is closed and classes are canceled, but only for Wednesday through Friday. You do have class on Monday and Tuesday, so plan on attending. I know sometimes instructors will cancel, but make sure that you know that and don't just skip because those are just 2 easy days to go to. Winter registration is open. And hopefully you are mostly registered already. I know Mrs. Barr is busy working on checking everybody's registration and would check in with you if you are missing anything or if you're not registered or under registered or over registered. So keep an eye on your email for that. And if you need help and haven't registered yet, or if you have and you just want somebody to double check it, feel free to reach out to me. I am almost caught up, but I've been very, very behind on my emails because of the number of meetings and emails that I'm getting asking about registration. So if I owe you an answer, I will get it to you. And feel free to forward me your email and say, hey, have you seen this? It's a nice way to get it to the top of my inbox because I'm distracted by the top quite a bit. So finals are done December 13th. And then you have a nice full month off for the holiday break. And then the new semester starts Monday, January 13th. When finals week starts, you can start returning your textbooks, but be sure not to return your books if you're going to need them to study. I always recommend, and I think a lot of people have been taking me up on this, to turn in your textbooks after your last final and then bam, you're out for a break is a great feeling that I highly recommend just doing it all in one shot. If you wait to the last day, December 16th, your mom will ask you to run errands for her, or there'll be some family Christmas party pop up that you weren't aware of. Some kind of catastrophe will come into play that you won't be able to get there that day. So don't wait until the last day, but the last day to turn them in is Monday, December 16th. If they are returned after that, there will be a late fee. There's no exceptions to that. Hopefully you have not had to deal with that in the past, but get those in finals week, and that's a great way to wrap it up. I will be sending reminders about this, but this is just kind of an early notice about applying for SC4 graduation. So you are going into your final semester at SC4, and most people are maybe still on track to complete the associate degree this spring. You do have to apply to graduate in order to, first of all, be awarded your degree and to participate in spring commencement. That is always the last Friday of the semester in the spring. So that is May 9th this year. You have to apply for graduation to get your degree, even if you're not going to be coming to commencement. But if you want to participate in commencement, usually there's a deadline like February, March. Again, I'll send reminders about this, but if you can do it now and you can say that you will be finishing in the winter 2025 semester, and you are absolutely free to submit that now. Some people are working on multiple degrees, like some people might be combining maybe the Associate of Arts and Criminal Justice, or maybe you're getting the arts and the science degree. That is totally possible. Right now, it probably only lists one degree in your service center account. So if you email me, I can have the advisors add that for you so that you can be listed for all of the degrees that you will be completing. And if you go in and look at your service center, like when you're registering and see, oh, hey, it still says arts, but I switched it to science a long time ago. Let me know if your degree doesn't reflect what you're actually working on and finishing up. I can have that fixed for you as well. Even if you're planning to finish, like maybe you're going to have just a class or two to finish after this semester is over, you can select summer 2025 as your final semester. Like if you're planning to finish your classes that semester, And you would still, I believe, if you have one class left, they let you participate in the spring commencement. And then you just don't technically get your degree until you actually finish that class and finish all of the requirements. So if you have two or more, you still can choose the semester that you're going to finish to get the degree awarded and reviewed, but it would just be one class or being done in order to do the commencement. So again, I'll send reminders about this, but just kind of wanted to give you some early notice on it. If you have not done college applications, it is not too late. I've been starting to hear, or students are coming in a panic saying, well, I missed the November 1st deadline. That deadline that we have in our heads of November 1st is just the early action for some colleges. It's not even every college has that. So if that was what you had in your head and now you think you've missed that, you have not. You have plenty of time to apply to colleges, but you do want to make sure that you know the application deadlines. A school like U of M does have an earlier deadline. I think it's sometimes like February 1st might be the final deadline in order to apply for next year. But other schools, like I can't think of an example, but I'm pretty sure Western, they allow you to apply up until the semester starts in August. So if you have run into missing a deadline, there's going to be other options, but I don't think anything has closed at this point and probably wouldn't until into the new year. But you can check that. So what I would recommend is going to the admissions page at each school that you're thinking about, and they will have the deadlines there. So make sure that if you haven't done your applications, that you know when those deadlines are. And I would just say get started on it. They're not that hard to just go in. You're just doing a form where you're putting in your information. Some are involved and want you to enter every single class you've ever taken. It might be time consuming, but the stuff they're asking is not difficult. It's just you kind of regurgitating your record of what you've done over the years. The sooner you apply, and then the sooner you complete your FAFSA, which we'll be hearing about tonight, the sooner you're going to find out what your financial aid package is going to look like and what you can expect for aid. And so that's what you're aiming for, right? To get that information as soon as possible so that you can start making those decisions about where you're going. The big deadline, I should have checked this with you, Ms. Cassar, is March 1st is still the priority deadline, I think, at most schools, where for you to have applied to the school and to have completed your FAFSA, that's usually the first big deadline where they say that's your priority deadline for scholarship money. So if you want to get the biggest amount of money that you are eligible for, March 1st is kind of that date to keep in your head. But don't wait that long. You have, I mean, that's 4 months away, 3.5 months away. I would say get it done now. And I'm here to help with that too. Sorry, abrupt end here. So please join me in welcoming Josephine Cassar. She is the SC4 Executive Director of Financial Assistance. So she runs the financial aid office at SC4, and she is a wealth of knowledge. She's kind of an expert in the field on financial aid in general, and definitely across the state of Michigan and all of the different opportunities that are available for both federal and state aid. So I will stop sharing, and that will allow her to share her screen, and I'll let her take it away.
Thank you, Ms. Weimer. And let me just get here. Okay, can we see this?
Yes.
Perfect. I'd like to first thank everybody for taking some time out of your busy schedule and joining us tonight. As Mrs. Weimer has indicated, we're here to talk about all things FAFSA, financial aid, scholarships. We're going to throw a little bit of everything at you tonight. But the purpose of us doing that is because we want you to be able to understand what other colleges are talking about when they mention terms like financial aid or cost of attendance. But we also want you to tap into the most money possible. For ever since you started your classes in the Blue Water Middle College, you've been taking college courses, but you haven't had to pay for them. Blue Water Middle College has been the ones paying for them. Same with your books. But now that you're graduating from the middle college, you're going to be incurring that expense. So the tuition and fees, the books and supplies are going to need to be paid for. So we're going to talk about how do we get money for that. In order to make sure that you're understanding some of the terms that the various colleges are going to be using, I just want to go really quickly over some basic definitions because people think that they know what financial aid is, but they're often incorrect. Same with the cost of attendance or the new thing that we learned last year, the Student Aid Index or SAI. We'll talk about what is financial need, what the different categories or types of aid are, where does it come from, the FAFSA form itself, and what to do if you've been selected for verification or if you have any special or unusual circumstances. So first and foremost, financial aid. Basically, money provided to the student and their family to help pay for post-secondary education expenses. That's it. You notice I'm not saying free money. I'm not saying loans. It's all of that. All of that encompasses financial aid. So oftentimes we'll get students or parents who will say, well, we don't qualify for financial aid. You do, just not the free money that you might be looking for. So the next definition that we need to talk about is cost of attendance. So we talked about when you go away to college, or even if you're continuing on to complete your degree or another associate degree at SC4, you're going to incur those costs. And some of those costs are going to be direct costs, meaning you're going to have to pay for it out of your pocket. And some are going to be indirect costs, meaning there's a cost to it, but you're not paying SC4 for your gas or Central Michigan for your gas, or if you're going out of state and you're flying, you're not paying that to the college or university. However, you are incurring some of those costs. So as you can see here, we have some direct costs and indirect costs. What we want to do is give you a basic idea of what it's going to cost you to go to that college or university that you're looking at. And then we use that information to determine how much financial aid you're going to be eligible for. Now, you'll notice that I have housing and food and books and supplies on the direct cost side. Those can flip-flop. If you're staying on campus, yes, housing and food will be a direct cost. But let's say that you're going to commute from Aunt Sally's house because she happens to live in Mount Pleasant and you're going to go to Central. So you're not going to pay Central for their housing costs. So that would be an indirect expense that you would be given credit for, but you're not incurring at CMU. And same with books and supplies. Some of you may choose to get your books from the college bookstore. Others may choose to purchase them elsewhere. My advice to you is make sure that you're buying the correct books, the correct edition. Look at the ISBN numbers. You'll probably hear this several times from various orientations that you will be attending at the colleges and all that. Just make sure you're getting the right stuff. Nothing worse than starting off a semester thinking you have all the right books and you're starting off with the wrong book. Because these are estimated costs, you're going to see that your cost of attendance is going to vary widely from college to college. A community college is going to be less expensive than a four-year public institution, such as Eastern Michigan, State, Central, and the four-year publics are going to be less expensive than your private colleges, such as Aquinas, Hope, University of Detroit Mercy, etc. And we'll come back to COAs in a minute here. So that student aid index is a relatively new term, new being as far as we first heard about it for the 2024-25 academic year, which is the academic year that we are currently in. Formerly, that index number was called an EFC, or the estimated family contribution, but basically they're both doing the same thing. They're a measurement of the student and the family's ability to pay for their post-secondary education expenses. So we're going to look at student income and asset information, parent income and asset information, go through a whole bunch of different formulas, and that's what will be used to determine the SAI. Once we have that SAI, the College Financial Aid Office will be able to determine what type of financial aid the student is eligible for. Now, I know I can't see you guys because we're in Zoom, but I'm sure if I was going to say, who needs money? I'm raising a hand. Mrs. Weimer is raising a hand, and I'm sure all the parents out there listening are raising their hands as well. But when we come to financial need, we're going to take that cost of attendance that we talked about. We're going to subtract that student aid index or the SAI, and we're going to come up with the financial need. So because the costs vary widely from college to college, the need is going to vary widely from college to college. The only constant that we have here is that SAI or the student aid index. And then that need will determine the type of financial aid the student is eligible for at the particular institution that they are applying to. So when we look at the different types of financial aid, if we look at the right-hand side of the circle for a minute, please. On the right side, we see the gift aid. We see scholarships and grants. Most of those are free monies that we do not have to pay back. So we definitely want to tap into as much of that as we can. And then on the left side of this circle, we have self-help aid. Self-help meaning the student and or parent need to do something for that. If you're taking out a loan, that loan must be paid back. If you're looking for a part-time job, you might qualify for work study, and that money you get paid for the number of hours you work. So as you can see, you are having to do something to access that funding, and not everyone is eligible for work study. We're going to talk about scholarships for a minute. As I said, scholarships are monies that do not need to be paid back. They are usually awarded on a basis of merit, skill, or a unique characteristic. So on here, you can see the link that I have for SC4's scholarship application. I don't think I've taken it down yet, but I'm getting ready to take it down for the 24-25 academic year because I have to redo it and then put all the new ones out for the 25-26 academic year. So, but this is what it will look like. We will typically have it open before we leave for Christmas break. So you, as Mrs. Weimer said, you have about a month off of school. So you might want to start applying for scholarships during that month before your winter classes start. My recommendation is for those of you who are transferring to four-year schools, you're going to qualify for what I'm going to call an admission scholarship based on your grade point average, based on an SAT score. You may qualify for a presidential scholarship or whatever they may call it, a Centralis scholarship. However, they do have other scholarships that you are eligible for or may be eligible for, and those are going to be on their financial aid page. So that's another reminder why I put this one here. Don't just look at the admissions scholarships. I want you to go to their financial aid page and see where their donor scholarships are located and pay attention to the deadline date for them. Most of us have a deadline date that is sometimes end of February, mid-March. We're all going to vary. So if you've started looking at the various institutions, you might want to keep yourself organized, you know, okay, Central, rolling admission application. And I'm making this stuff up, guys. So, you know, their scholarship application is February 15th. Have a checklist so you know when it's due, because SC4 scholarship application is due March 17th. You know, so mine's a little bit later. So you can, you know what you have to focus on and where your priorities lie and what needs to get done first. A couple of other tips that I want to remind you of: do not use your high school email address when you are applying for the various scholarships. If you do not have a Gmail or Xfinity or some other email address, you might want to consider getting one, because that's how the colleges are going to communicate with you. You want to create and maintain a document listing of all of your accomplishments, your awards, any community service that you have done, or any leadership experience or extracurricular activities. What you're wanting to do is you're wanting to sell yourself. Tell that scholarship committee why they should give the money to you and not somebody else who's also applying for that same scholarship. So this is where you get to brag about yourself. So think about those little things. Some of that information you might use in an essay that the scholarship application may require for you to complete. So if you haven't started organizing this stuff, you might want to do so now. And I also want you to remember that those small scholarships add up. Many times I'll get students in our office and they'll say, well, I didn't apply for that scholarship because it was only $200 and that's not going to get me far. Okay, but right now you're in my office asking me for money. $200 is $200. So I don't want to hear it's not worth my time or effort because those small scholarships do add up. Students, think about it. You get a $500 scholarship. I guarantee you it's not going to take you any more than 10 hours to put some time and energy into completing a scholarship application and having what I'm going to call a good short answer, question as to why the scholarship should be awarded to you versus something else, right? I'm being, I think, generous with $10 or up to 10 hours for you to complete that. If it did take you 10 hours, that's okay. Because if you got that $500 scholarship, guess what? You just made $50 an hour. I'd certainly like to make $50 an hour if I'm answering a couple of short answer questions and an application. What about you, Miss Weimer?
Of course.
So please take your time and pay attention to those scholarships. It's well worth it. And then, unfortunately, we have to say this, there are some companies out there who are going to try to make some money on you. Nobody can guarantee you that you're going to get a scholarship. Work with the College Financial Aid Office. You should never be working and paying somebody to help you complete your FAFSA form, complete scholarship applications. They can't guarantee you anything. They don't know how much money I have as an institution, whether it be some of my campus-based aid, my state aid, or my scholarships. So pay attention. Don't pay anyone anything. If you have a question, swing by SC4's Financial Aid Office, whether or not you're coming back to SC4. Stop by the Blue Water Middle College. We're on the same floor. We work very closely together, and they all know how to contact me or my staff. If they're not aware of whatever your question is, they know how to get the answer. So please just, I caution you, don't be taken advantage of there. So that other side of gift aid that we talked about was grants. Grants are usually based on need, and they're the other type of financial aid that do not need to be paid back. Flip to loans for a minute. That's the first self-help category that we're looking at. Loans are monies that the student and parent could borrow on behalf of the student's education to help pay for those college expenses. Doesn't mean you have to. It just means there's opportunities available for you there. Repayment usually begins after the student has completed their education or they have stopped going to school at least half time, which is generally, you guys know, 6 credits per semester. And we're only looking at the fall and the winter semester. We're not talking about the breaks in the summer. Students, some colleges are going to automatically package or award you a student loan, and they may say, Johnny, you're eligible to borrow $5,500 for the academic year. If you don't need $5,500, don't take it. Say, you know what, I only need $3,000, or I don't need anything. You can always go back and ask for more, but if you take it and you get what's left over after your tuition fees and possibly housing is paid for, if you're like my daughter, that money's going to be spent and then not saved for upcoming expenses that might be coming down the line. So only borrow what you need. You will have to pay it back. It will be incurring interest. So we say look at loans as an investment in your future. Work study, as I indicated, is just like a part-time job. You get paid for the number of hours you work. So it's a great way to earn some experience. There's opportunities available to students on campus as well as off campus, depending on what your field is and what you're looking into. So you might be saying, where does all of this money come from? The bulk of it's going to come from the federal government, but we also have state governments, colleges and universities, private sources such as churches, community foundations, and employers. Some of your employers or your parent employers might be offering scholarships. We're going to get into this a little bit more. If we look at the federal student aid programs, the first one is the federal Pell Grant. And when I hear students or parents saying, well, we didn't qualify for financial aid, it's usually the federal Pell Grant that they are referring to. That just means you didn't qualify for the Pell Grant. Pell is given to the neediest of needy students. So not everybody is going to qualify for it. Now, yes, there have been changes that have been made in the formulas for the 24-25 year and subsequent years. So we might be seeing more students being Pell eligible, but still, not everyone will be eligible for it. The good news is you are applying for these types of programs here by completing that FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, and we will talk about that in a few minutes here. So don't worry about SCOG, teach, or work study, because we will give you that if you're eligible for it. As far as SCOG and work study, every college financial aid office has X amount of dollars in that program. Excuse me, and we will award according to our institutional policy. And once that money is gone, we stop awarding. So this is why Ms. Weimer is saying, and I am saying, focus on that March 1 date. Okay, try to get it in, because a lot of money is given on a first come, first serve basis. Those two programs particularly. Loans and plus loans, the box in the middle, the federal direct student loan is the loan that's in the student name. The plus loan is the loan that's in the parent loan or parent name, excuse me. They don't run out of those, right? Unfortunately. So that's money that we are asking for and that we will be having to be paid back. Some institutions will automatically award you a loan. As I indicated, you choose whether you want to take that or not, and they will let you know how to respond if you're reducing that amount. The loans are coming from the federal government. So when we look at the student loans, those are going to be called subsidized and unsubsidized. Those are the two options. So remember when we were doing our financial need calculation, we had the cost of attendance minus SAI, and we had financial need, right? As long as that need figure has not been covered by other grants or scholarships, that student can qualify for subsidized loans as long as they're an undergraduate student. So that means that if they're taking out that unsub loan, or I'm sorry, subsidized loans, they qualify for sub loans if it all hasn't been covered. That means that the federal government is paying, excuse me, the interest on that loan while they are in school. So basically they're borrowing that money interest-free and payment-free if they're taking that subsidized loan out. Let's say that need figure is very small. That doesn't mean that they can't take out a loan. It just means they're going to get the unsubsidized loan. And that means that they are incurring interest on that loan while they're in school, but they can defer that interest until after they graduate or quit going to school. So it's not bad. Students need to be at least half time. We said that 6 credit hours. The current interest rate is 6.53%. I know some of you are saying, wow, that's high. It has gone up over the last few years, but it's not as high as it was in the 80s, if that makes you feel any better. I know my loans were at an 8% interest rate. Who knows what's going to happen, right? It's based on the 90-day treasury bills and T-bills and all of that in the summer. So this loan will be in the student's name. You'll see that I have some limits out there. So freshmen can only borrow $5,500. Sophomores, $6,500. Juniors and seniors, $7,500. So you see, that may not be enough to pay all of your tuition and your housing if you're staying at a four-year institution, if you don't have any other types of aid programs coming in. Parents, your loan is the plus loan, and that will be in your name, and you are taking out the loan on behalf of your son or daughter pursuing their college education. The interest rate on this is a little bit higher. It's 9.08% currently, but here again, that's probably cheaper than you are able to get money out on a credit card, sorry. You're going to apply for that plus loan at studentaid.gov. And basically the plus loan will be used to cover the student's balance after other aid has been exhausted. So those are the federal options that are available to us right now. There are private loans that are out there. You saw the limits as far as the student loans go. Parents, you could borrow the difference between the cost of attendance minus all other aid, right? So there is no cap per se on a parent loan. But there are some lenders out there who offer private loans. So that might be something your family wants to pursue. They are usually creditworthy loans and will require a cosigner for most. They all have variable interest rates, so I encourage you to shop around. The federal loans that we talked about will have some loan forgiveness provisions. God forbid a student or a parent were to become disabled or the student were to pass away, there are some things that kick in and we can cancel that loan. Excuse me, getting sick, of course. However, we do not have any loan forgiveness in these private loans that we may be applying for. So those are the federal aid programs that we discussed with the addition of that private loan. Now we're going to talk about the state of Michigan programs. So all of these require that the FAFSA be completed as well. So great, we're filling it out anyhow for our institutional aid, our federal aid, and we're also going to do it for our state aid programs. So the Michigan Competitive Scholarship and Michigan Tuition Grants are not going to apply to you guys, but they may apply to an older sibling that you may have if they graduated and have been receiving monies if they graduated with the class of 2023. So I put them out here because technically they're still there, but no new awards are being made out of them. TIP is the tuition incentive program, and students can qualify for TIP if they were on Medicaid for 24 months out of a 36 consecutive month period. So if you think that you were, I know that the Blue Water Middle College has access to some information and rosters. Your counselors in that area will be reaching out to you, but if you have questions, they can help you with that. They can connect you with the state to see if you're qualified for it, etc. Dual enrollment, you're not going to need that. That's what you've been doing all along. That's been your entire Blue Water Middle College is you're a dual enrolled student with SC4. So we're going to bypass that. Looking at Fostering Futures Scholarship, if there was anyone who is in foster care, they may be eligible for some additional aid. That one's going to require a separate scholarship. So make sure that you talk to someone in Blue Water, check our office, and we'll connect you. They open the date for that scholarship variable time. So I can't say from here to here because it seems to fluctuate every year. Michigan Reconnect, so this one has 25 plus and then 21 to 24. I don't think any of you guys are going to fall into this category, but if I do have some of you out there who are 21, you're not going to be, you'll still be dual enrolled. So those aren't going to qualify for you as of today. Things may change. I hear that there's a bill that has passed the House, but not the Senate. So you might be hearing something differently from us next semester about Reconnect, but I'm going to stop there right now. Futures for frontliners, no new awards are being made out of that. That was during COVID times. Police officers and firefighter survivor grant. God forbid you lost a parent and they were a police officer or firefighter, you may be eligible for some additional state aid. The Michigan Achievement Scholarship and the Michigan Community College Guarantee, which is part of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship Program. I want to stop there for a minute, right? I'm going to come back to those because those are biggies. But Children of Veterans Tuition Grant, if your parent was a vet, you may be eligible. Okay, so here again, check with the various offices. And you see that I have the state's web address down there. So now we're going to go back to this Michigan Achievement Scholarship. So it's a huge umbrella that covers variable programs, including the Community College Guarantee Program. So if we look at four-year schools first, okay, you can get up to $5,500 in the Michigan Achievement Scholarship as long as you have an SAI that's 30,000 or less. All right. And you're going to have to attend full-time at that institution. I think I might have a slide coming up. I just want to make sure that I do. It's on the guarantee agency or community college guarantee. So that's at our four-year schools. $5,500 is a lot, and you're allowed to get it for 5 years. So if we say 5,500 times 5, that's $27,500. That's a lot of money that's available. Okay. It does require that you be full-time. As I said, it requires that you have the SAI of 30,000 or less, and it requires that you complete the FAFSA form. Okay. This Michigan Community College Guarantee Program is part of that same umbrella, but with both of these, the $5,500 one as well as this one, the student needs to initiate them within 15 months of graduating from high school. In your case, you will be graduating from high school in May, June of 25. So that means that you need to initiate your Michigan Achievement Scholarships by fall of 26. Okay, so that's a 15-month window, basically. So not the immediate fall after you graduate, so not fall of 25, but the following fall of 26. So with the community college guarantee, it also requires that you be enrolled full-time. You guys know that that's 12 credit hours per semester. This will pay in-district tuition and fees only, and I believe most of you are in district, so that should not be a problem. It does not pay for textbooks or housing costs, and you need to be meeting the institutional satisfactory academic progress. So I believe you guys know that you need to be making succession and be successful towards your degree. So you need to be earning C's or a 2.0. In most of your classes, it's a cumulative GPA of a 2.0 or higher, and be passing a minimum of 67%. So an occasional withdrawal from our end is okay, but you can't consistently do that. So I'll have students that I have denied them, and they'll say, well, I have a 4.0. Well, yeah, but you keep withdrawing from the class that you're not getting an A in. So you don't want to do that, okay? So just make sure that you know what your school's requirements are. But most of ours are a cumulative GPA of a 2.0 or higher and passing at least 67% of the classes that you have attempted. We said that you need to complete the FAFSA for each of them with the community college guarantee. So some of our other state programs for the community colleges, once you receive an associate degree, you're no longer eligible. That's not the case with the CCG. So if you're going to continue on at SC4 and you're getting an associate degree in May, but now you want to pursue another one, or you're getting your, I don't know, AGEGE right now, and then you're going into the nursing program. Guess what? That's not going to be held against you. So your 5-year time frame will start when you enroll, and 3 of those years can be used at the community college. Guess what? The community college, this is all new. It was announced the end of June, and it was effective this fall. I can tell you, I have students out there this fall who are getting over $6,000 in one semester. Okay, so let's say double it. So that's 12,000 a year. That's more than double that 5,500 that we just talked about at the 4-year schools, right? So if you are pursuing additional associate degrees at the community college level, you can tap into this. So it might blow that $27,500 figure out the window. Okay, so as you see here, you can only use it for up to 3 years at the community college though. And then the remaining time can be used at the 4-year university, once again, as long as your SAI is 30,000 or less. Colleges and universities are also going to have aid programs and scholarships that you're eligible for. So here again, some of those are going to be awarded on the basis of both merit and need. You know, the admissions scholarships, as I like to refer to them, those are going to be based on merit, right? A certain high school grade point average, certain SAT test score. They may look at your financial need. Some aid will be gift aid, meaning it's free. Some might be an institutional loan or an institutional work study job that you're going to have to do something for. They are going to use the information that you provide on the FAFSA, but some of them are going to require an additional application. So remember when I said keep yourself organized? Schools such as U of M, Ann Arbor, or Hope College, they're going to require the college, college C CSS profile, sorry. So it's an additional financial aid application that you're going to have to complete. So I don't want you to get confused. And then pay attention to those deadlines and application dates that they have, because those are going to vary by institution. We talked about community foundations, businesses, churches, civic centers, your parents' employer, charitable organizations. They all may have scholarships that you are eligible for. I know Kiwanis clubs do, various businesses do. The Community Foundation of St. Clair County, we work very, very closely with them. And I'm pleased to say that once again, we're back to having the same scholarship deadline date. So both of ours are going to be March 17th. Yes, it's St. Patrick's Day, but I didn't want it to be on a Sunday when if you had questions, you didn't have access to anyone. So March 17th, you want to make sure that you're applying to Community Foundation for scholarships, as well as SC4 if you're going to continue at SC4. Pay attention to the deadline dates. Pay attention to what they are asking you for. Some of them might want a reference letter uploaded. Some of them might want your transcript uploaded. Just give them what they are truly asking for. And you can really begin searching and researching those private sources at this time. I know that some of your school districts will also have scholarships that only students from that district are eligible for. So here again, you'll want to pay attention. And now we're getting to that FAFSA form, the free application for federal student aid. As I said, this form is used throughout the country to any student who is applying for financial aid and wants help with going to college. So the information that we provide on here will be used to calculate that SAI, that student aid index. Colleges are going to have their FAFSA filing dates. We're going to pay attention to them. The last year and this year, the application was not available October 1st. This year, you can start applying by December 1st. Ms. Weimer and I talked about this earlier. You don't have to be out there and filling it out December 1st. As a matter of fact, my assistant director did this presentation for your classmates on Friday. She has 2 college kids, and she's like, we're not doing it right now. My kids are going to be focusing on finals and all that. We'll probably do it Christmas break. So if you want to do it while you're off between your semesters, that is fine. Do not be jumping out there on December 1st. But it has been passed into federal law that beginning with next year, the federal student aid has to have it open by October 1st. And you're going to need to apply for financial aid each and every academic year. So that means you're filling out this FAFSA each and every academic year. So every fall, and believe me, the colleges will be advertising this as well. You're going to want to make sure, keep in mind that you're going to need to complete that FAFSA form. And you can have it set to up to 20 colleges at one time. Because the whole purpose is if you are seriously looking at that institution, then let them tell you how much money you're eligible for, because maybe it's will make a decision as to what college or university you end up going to, especially when we look at that bottom line, right? And here's where it's really important to know what's a direct expense and what's an indirect expense, right? Because maybe the college of my dreams is a private college, but when I look at all the aid programs that I'm getting and whatever, maybe it's only $1,000, $2,000 more than my second or third choice school, right? And if it's only a couple $1,000s more, is it possible? Can I make that stretch? Can I go to where I truly want to go? So that's the purpose of this form being available earlier. What we want you to focus on now, and I didn't know what to title this slide, so I just said, be FAFSA ready. Get all this information ahead of time. So take care of it now. So then when it's time for you to complete the FAFSA, you're good to go and you're not scrambling and freaking out that something's not working. So students, you're going to need to create your own FSA ID. I don't know if Blue Water Middle College will have you doing that with them or not in one of your sessions, but it is something that you could do at studentaid.gov. And there will need to be a different FSA ID created for a minimum of one parent. Some of you, it'll have to be out there for both parents. Make sure you know social security numbers. The FAFSA will be in the student name. So make sure, student, that you know your social security number. You memorize it, but your parent social security number will need to be reported on this form as well. The student driver's license needs to be reported, and any student who is a non-citizen and has an alien registration number, that number will need to be provided as well. We're going to talk about the tax information and the direct data exchange, where the information should automatically transfer between the Department of Ed and the IRS, but sometimes it doesn't work. So know where your 2023 tax information is, right? And notice I'm paying attention. 2023, we filed those taxes last April, so they've been done. Just pull that file and have all the information ready. If there was child support that was received, make sure you know what that amount was. Make sure you have an idea of what the value of bank statements and investment records are, both those in the student name and parent name. So you'll see here that I say bank accounts, stocks, bonds, real estate, not the family home, other investments, not retirement accounts. Okay, so they're not going to look at and say, well, I have to sell my house in order for this to happen. Nope, they don't do that. And they're not going to look at how much you have in your 401k. And then you're going to also put on your FAFSA the schools that you want to send it to. So you can type the school name out. We all have what's called a Title IV school code. So it's a 6-digit code. If you happen to know that, it makes your application that much easier. So these are 6 easy steps that you can focus on. What? Steps 2 through 6 are pretty much just gathering records, right? So nothing to it. And then other than that, just creating that student aid .gov account for the student and a minimum of one parent. So this is what the home screen looks like. It changes periodically, so it may look a little bit different here, but somewhere at the top it will usually say FAFSA form, as it does right here, and that is what we're going to want to do, is we'll want to go there and complete the FAFSA form. But this is where you'll be completing your FSA ID and everything. So when we complete it, we often are operating in 2 academic years. So let's say that it's going to be, I don't know, December 26th of 2024. So the day after Christmas. And it's like, you know what, I'm going to start filling out my FAFSA form. You're going to come into the studentaid.gov, click on FAFSA, and it's going to say, what school year are you applying for? You are applying for the 25-26 school year, next fall, because 24-25 we are still in, but I have students who can still apply for 24-25. So I don't want you choosing the wrong one. You are 25-26. And then it's going to ask for your state of legal residence, and it'll walk you through the various questions. As I said, student and parents need to have an FSA ID and password created. If you have that, it will be used for here on out as your electronic signature with the Department of Ed. So you're going to want to use that permanent email address, not the high school email address. So another good reason why to get a Gmail or something. Parents, you might have an older child that you've already created an FSA ID for. That number is still valid for you. So you don't need to go out and get a new one. It's just the student who would need to get one in their name. And here again, we're doing that at studentaid.gov. So some wonderful terminology that changed with the 24-25 academic year is parents and or spouses are now called contributors to the form. It's the same thing. It's your parent for those of you who are traditional Blue Water Middle College students. So they're going to receive an email. They're going to need to provide information to the student's FAFSA form. So it can go two ways. If the student starts their own FAFSA form, they'll answer their questions, then they will be asked to invite their parent to the form. So for those parents who have done it a few years ago, it's a little bit different. You will get an email and it'll say, "Will asked you to complete your section of his FAFSA. Are you willing to do so? Click here," and it follows you through. If the parent wants to start the FAFSA on behalf of the student, you could do your section and then you're inviting the student to come out and fill it out. All right, so it goes both ways, but the FAFSA form is in the student name and the parents will be the contributor. My recommendation is have the student start it and invite the parent to it. There were some hiccups this last year with it going the other way around. There have been several challenges this past year. They're telling me they're fixed, but let's do it the traditional way. Student start it and invite the parent. Make sure you're typing the parent's name correctly. Make sure that you're typing their email address correctly, date of birth, social security numbers. Do not put an extra space after it because parents, this is where when you go in to log in, if those that information does not match up exactly, you may not get in, and it may involve having to make a phone call to 1-800-4FED-AID. So we have learned student put 2 extra spaces after it. It's looking at everything. So let's be very careful here. When we talk about parents, it's going to be a little bit different than it's been in the past. If the parent is single, we're talking about the parent who the student is living with. If they're married or remarried, it's 2-parent information that's going to be on there, the parent and the step parent. If parents are divorced or separated and do not live together, it's the parent that they live with. If they're divorced and separated and living together, it's both parents. So it's going to walk you through that exact form and who qualifies. Parents are biological parents, adopted parents, and step parents. No grandparent, no aunt or uncle, and no sibling or legal guardian. Okay, that's where people usually get tripped up on. So the student invites the parent to the FAFSA. They'll complete the parent portion of that FAFSA form. We can do it this way, but the email invites the parent to complete the parent portion of the student's FAFSA. Like I said, SSN, so social security number, date of birth, email, and name. And the parent must use FSA ID to access that FAFSA. So that's why it's very important that that parent create that FSA ID now, because you won't be able to complete the FAFSA if you wait till the last minute and you go to do it here. There's a question about family size in here. And family size is going to, it tells you who to include. For the dependent students, which I'm assuming most of the students in this audience are, you're going to include the student, the parent and spouse if the parent is married, parents' dependent children, even if they don't live with the parent because they're attending a college or university elsewhere, and other people only if they live with the parent and the parent provides support for them. Okay. And then independent, I don't think we have any, but it's basically the student and spouse and people they provide support for. Let's see here. If independent student is married, yep, we already said that. So basically, when we are providing our income information and logging in as a contributor, we are giving our consent that we are allowing the IRS to transfer our income information to Department of Ed, to the FAFSA form. If we do not give our consent, the application is dead in the water right there. So that means that students will no longer be able to complete the FAFSA. So think hard and think twice. Parents, you may not be able to contribute to your son or daughter's college education, but we can't help them determine what type of aid they're eligible for unless you at least put your income information and asset information on the FAFSA form. So you are not obligated to pay for their college tuition expenses, etc. It's just I can't tap into the funding for them unless you give consent. So it's a really strong push there that we are providing and granting our consent to transfer that. So that consent is being used not only for the IRS, but it's your electronic signature with the Department of Ed. So all contributors need to provide consent and approval to use their federal tax information, and it's transferred directly from the IRS into the FAFSA using the direct data exchange. So it should come automatically. This is a repeat here. It'll pre-populate, or it will populate most of the income questions. So it's eliminating manual entry on some of those. But the DDX does not always work. And I don't want you freaking out if it's not working. So remember how I said one of the things I want you to get ready is your 2023 tax folders. This is where it might come in handy. So just, it will automatically take what it needs. It may ask for some additional information, but you're not going to be double counted. So don't worry about that. This question tripped a lot of people up last year, and I want to make sure that we stop this. It's supposed to be reworded. I have not seen the rewording yet. So the question was, are the students' parents refusing to provide their information on this FAFSA form? Parents, please do not say yes, because that means that the student will only be eligible for an unsubsidized loan, and that's it. Okay, and it's a nightmare trying to get that answer changed. So basically, you're going to answer this question as no. And I heard that it will come pre-populated as no, but I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not willing to certify that. But it's supposed to come as no. Just do not answer this question as yes, please. So the applications go through, we hit submit, great. The feds run it through a whole bunch of formulas. They kick out an SAI, and that will that information is sent to the schools that the student listed on their FAFSA form, and it is also sent to the state agency. Some students will be selected for a process called verification. That does not mean that anything was done incorrectly. It just means that we have to do some edit checks. You might need to complete a household verification worksheet. List the names of the people in your family and names and ages. You might need to provide a copy of a W-2 form. Whatever it is that they're asking for, just give it to them because it'll keep your financial aid application moving along. The longer you wait to provide that, the longer your file sits. We will not award you your aid or move it along the process until we get that information. So here again, just please keep that keep on top of that. Students, you're going to want to check your email, and you're going to want to find out how the college or university is communicating with you. Are they communicating with you through their own portal? So you guys know what a portal is because we use it at SC4. and you guys probably use it, and that's how your instructors are communicating with some of you. I know some use Canvas, but figure it out. Do you have to log in to their portal to see the emails that they have sent you? Because you want to stay on top of it. You saying, well, I didn't check my email isn't going to work. And now you may have missed out on some deadline dates and some additional money you may have been eligible for. And remember, the verification process has to be completed to tap into that community college guarantee scholarship program as well. So complete the forms thoroughly, you know, don't, do you have to do it December 1? No. Try to get them done by March 1. Okay. Satisfactory academic progress. We talked about this a little bit. You need to complete all of your coursework. You need to have a cumulative grade point average of a 2.0 or higher, and you need to be passing at least 67% of all coursework attempted. The one piece that I didn't cover is that you cannot have completed more than 150% of the number of credit hours it takes to receive your degree. So traditionally, at a four-year school, your bachelor's degree is 120 credit hours. Once you've reached 180, you may be terminated from financial aid because that's 6 years, right? An additional 60 credit hours that you should have earned your bachelor's degree. There are appeal provisions and they will tell you all of that and you'll be getting warnings, but know that that exists, and it also exists for the community colleges. So at the community college, most associate degrees are 60 credit hours. So 150% will be 90. So once students hit 90 at our school, they may start getting some denial letters and having to go through an appeal process. So just be aware of that policy. If you need to make corrections, you can log back into your FAFSA form at studentaid.gov, make the necessary changes, and they will reprocess it and send it to the college or university that you have requested. There are some unusual circumstances that justify exceptions be made to your FAFSA. Here's where you're going to be working with the individual financial aid offices, right? They'll make those changes. Maybe the income has changed drastically from 2023 to 2025 or 20, the 2024. We might be able to do something because remember, this is based off of 2023. You have to fill it out with 2023 and then we might make changes. So just let us know, be in communication with the financial aid office. Each college or university's financial aid office will have their own policy as to how they deal with this. They might want some additional information from you. They may want to wait until a certain date has passed, etc. But some of these special circumstances could include the death of a spouse or parent, God forbid, or a loss of employment or income, or a divorce. So here again, these are unique and special circumstances where you're going to want to talk to the individual schools. So a lot of information in about an hour. I know I was going fast, but I wanted to make sure that we left time for questions. So you want to make sure that you're obtaining and reviewing the admission and financial aid websites and what do they expect for you to contribute to them. You want to make sure that you know all of the application deadlines. That they have an institutional application in addition to that FAFSA form. Like I said, the College Scholarship Services profile. I know Hope requires it. I know U of M Ann Arbor requires it. There are several others. If they ask you for something, get it in as soon as possible and then respond promptly to any requests. It could be, hey, can you confirm for me how many people are in your family and list the names? It could be, can you confirm for me what the age or the birth date of a parent is? Whatever they're asking for, please provide that information. So at this point, I think I'm going to ask Ms. Weimer. I don't know if we didn't tell them. I don't think we did we? To put questions out in the chat. So
Yeah, I meant to say that I could monitor the chat. I did not. So
let's give them
questions
a
you
few
have.
minutes. I've stopped sharing my screen for a minute, Tracy, so that if they why don't we give them a few minutes to come up with any questions, throw them in the chat. Does that work?
Perfect. You can type it in the chat, or if you want, you could unmute yourself and ask the question. I'm going to keep recording for right now because oftentimes when people have a question, a lot of people have that question. But if anybody asks anything personal, we don't have to read the whole thing. If you wanted to just direct the chat question just to me, I can ask it without your personal info. While you guys are thinking, I'm going to do one quick slide because I think I had one at the end. Oh, geez. Sorry, I can't get out of here now. Just at the end, if you want to screenshot, hopefully you all pretty much have my email at this point. I've been sending you lots of reminders and annoying things through the years. But I'm happy to help with anything that you need with either college applications or financial aid. Last year I worked with a handful of students that finally took me up on it, where I can help you create your FSA ID if you're confused or lost on that. I've helped students start their FAFSA, help them figure out how, like, okay, how do I invite my parent? I can help you talk through who is the parent that you're supposed to invite. There's a tricky situation where sometimes like there's a questionnaire, I think basically, is this still going to be the case where on the FAFSA it will walk you through, so you all know my email, you can it will walk you through which parent you are meant to invite.
Yeah.
So
There's
probably
a parent wizard on the
yes,
FAFSA and it walks you through that. But there's also, and I know that you and I have discussed it, Tracy, and I actually just pulled it up. If we need to show it, the instructions that help you go through how to determine who that parent is, if that comes up.
perfect. Yeah, so we can help with that too. Anytime I am that it's beyond what I know, I would reach out to the financial aid office. So yeah, we are here to help. If no one has a question that they want to share, I will say thank you so much, Joe, for doing this and helping
Absolutely.
our students. We fully appreciate it so much. And I always tell the students that every year I learn something new in this presentation. And I'd be happy to talk with any of you about, I've made every mistake in the book in my own student loans back in my day. So when she says, don't take more than you need, that would be my biggest recommendation, to make sure you follow that. So thank you all for being here, and stick around if you have a question that you just didn't want recorded. We'll stick for a minute or two. Otherwise, you are free to go, and thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.